What's up everybody, I'm Damien, and you're looking for set it and forget it type of investments for your 401k that you can just buy and hold forever? Well, Fidelity offers hundreds of different index funds for investors to choose from. In this video, I'm gonna narrow it down to my 6 best Fidelity index funds by breaking them up into 6 categories and choosing a winner for each category. The 6 categories that I'm gonna go through are US equities fund, an international fund, an emerging markets fund, a bond fund, a real estate fund, and a high growth fund. I'm also going to show you guys how much $10,000 would be worth if invested 10 years ago in each one of these funds. Let's jump right in. My high growth fund winner is FSCSX, and this is Fidelity's select software and IT services portfolio. This fund invests primarily in companies that engage in software and IT related services. All right, so the ticker symbol is FSCSX. The net asset value is $19.61. The expense ratio is 0.67%. The minimum investment is $0, so there's no minimum to invest in this fund. And the net portfolio assets are $8.2 billion. If we take a look at the Morningstar overall rating, they've given this a 4 out of 5 stars. And the Morningstar risk rating is sort of in the middle, but a little bit towards the higher end. The top 5 holdings of the fund are Microsoft, Visa, MasterCard, Adobe, and Salesforce. If we look here at the hypothetical growth of $10,000 over the past 10 years, you could see that it'd be worth about $48,648 today, which significantly beat out things like the S&P 500 and some other similar funds that they have listed here. And if we look at the average annual returns, you can see the past year it really got hammered and it's down about 29%, but it's still done well over the life of the fund, over 15% returns. All right, up next, the winner of my real estate fund is FRESX, which is the Fidelity Real Estate Investment Portfolio. This fund invests mainly in REITs, so real estate investment trusts, most of which own and operate commercial real estate in the United States and some international as well. So the ticker symbol is FRESX. The net asset value is $38.31. The expense ratio is 0.71%. The minimum investment is 0, so there's no minimum in this one either. The net portfolio assets are about $2.9 billion. If we look at the Morningstar overall rating, you can see this one has a 3 out of 5 stars. And Morningstar considers this fund a little bit riskier. The 5 largest holdings of the fund are the Prologis Inc. REIT, Crown Castle Inc., SBA Communications Corp., Equinix Inc., and Digital Realty Trust Inc. If we look at the average annual returns, you can see that this fund is up about 2% year to date. It really dropped off last year, minus 24%. But if you go a little bit further out, you can see we're a little bit over 6% on a 10-year horizon. And if we look at a hypothetical growth chart of $10,000, you can see that this fund pretty significantly underperformed the S&P 500 over the last 10 years, which is kind of expected. I mean, a lot of REITs have underperformed the S&P 500, but this fund particularly is about on par with other real estate investment trusts. All right, the winner of my Fidelity Bonds fund is FAGIX, which is the Fidelity Capital and Income Fund. This fund invests in high yield bonds issued by US corporations. So the ticker symbol is FAGIX. The net asset value is $9.18. The expense ratio is 0.67%. The minimum to invest is also $0. And the portfolio net assets are $11 billion. If we look at the overall Morningstar rating, this one has a 5 out of 5 stars. It's also right in the middle of their risk category, so not low or not high. The top 5 largest bond holdings in this fund are the Ally Financial 8% bond, the Transdiem 5.5% bond, a California Res Corp bond, the Bank of America 5.86% bond, and the Altice France 5.5% bond. If we look at the average performance of this fund, you can see that it's about 1.8% so far this year. Last year, this fund didn't do too well, so it's negative 10%, but that's a lot better than the last 2 that we looked at that were both over 20-25% down. If you expand out to the 10-year horizon, you can see you're getting over a 5% annual return. If we take a look at the hypothetical growth chart of $10,000, so $10,000 invested 10 years ago would be worth about $17,616 today. This fund has performed significantly better than similar high yield bond funds. All right, now for the emerging markets fund. This one is FEDDX, which is Fidelity's Emerging Markets Discovery Fund. This fund invests primarily primarily in emerging market securities from countries like Asia, Latin America, Africa, and the Middle East. The net asset value is $14.49. The expense ratio is 1.19%, so this one has the highest expense ratio of any fund that we've looked at so far. The minimum investment is $0, so there's no minimum you need to invest. The net portfolio assets are $529 million. If we look at the Morningstar rating for this fund, it gives it a 5 out of 5 overall rating, but it does think that this fund is a little bit higher risk than some of the others. If we look at the top 5 holdings of this fund, you can see the biggest one is Grupo Commercial. Number 2 is Chilese Holding. Number 3 is Mavi Jeans. Number 4 is Afia. And number 5 is Hindustan Aeronautics. Let's look at the average performance of this fund. It's up about 4% year to date. It was down 11.8% last year, which isn't as bad as a lot of the tech funds that we looked at earlier. But on the 10-year horizon, it's about 3.5%. So this one's even lower than the real estate fund. But if you think emerging markets are going to outpace the US in the future, you might want to invest in this. And if we look at the hypothetical growth of $10,000 over 10 years, you can see that would be worth about $14,000 right now. All right, the winner of my best international Fidelity fund is FNORX, and this is the Fidelity Nordic Fund. This fund invests in securities in Danish, Finnish, Swedish, and Norwegian countries, so the Nordic countries. So the ticker symbol is FNORX. The net asset value is $52.79. The expense ratio is 0.93%. The minimum investment of this one is also 0, and the net portfolio assets is $289 million. So this one's the smallest one we've seen so far. This fund is so small that it doesn't even have a Morningstar overall ranking. But Morningstar did rate the risk of this fund, and it put it slightly on the higher end. If we look at the 5 largest holdings of this fund, you can see number 1 is Novo Nordisk, 2 is Nordea Bank, 3 is Investor AB, 4 is DSV, and 5 is Equinor. Let's look at the average returns and the annual performance of this fund. So it's up year to date about 1.4%. It was down last year along with everything else, about 19% last year. But if you look at the 10-year horizon, this fund really has performed great. It's over 9%, almost to 10% per year for the past 10 years. And if we look at hypothetical growth of $10,000 in this fund invested 10 years ago, you could see you'd be at about $23,000 today. And lastly, we have the winner of my US equities fund, and this is probably my favorite of all of them. This is the ticker symbol FXAIX, and it's the Fidelity 500 Index Fund. This is actually Fidelity's largest fund, and it tracks the S&P 500, which is the 500 largest publicly traded US companies. So the ticker symbol is FXAIX. The net asset value is $135.08. The expense ratio is super low. It's 0.015%. It has no minimum to invest, and the net portfolio assets are about $352 billion. If we look at the Morningstar overall rating of this fund, it gives it 4 out of 5 stars. And you can see the Morningstar risk of this fund is just slightly skewed to a higher risk side. Let's take a look at the top 5 holdings in the fund. So we have Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Alphabet, Google, and Berkshire Hathaway at number 5. And now let's check out the hypothetical growth of $10,000 over 10 years. That $10,000 would be sitting right at about $32,000 if invested in this fund 10 years ago. All right, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please hit that like button and make sure you subscribe to my channel. I'm posting videos regularly about my investing strategies that include high growth, high yield, and unconventional ways to make money in the stock market. I do also need to clarify that this is not financial advice. I don't have a crystal ball, and I don't know if these stocks are going to go up, down, sideways, or what. But I'm showing you what I've found through my research, and you should certainly do your own research as well, especially before purchasing any risky stocks. Thanks everyone, y'all have a great day.